Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Tim's News Explosion on this Monday, the 14th of August, 2023. We are live on the Wilmsfront YouTube channel, the Wilmsfront Odyssey channel, and the Wilmsfront Rumble channel. I've got the Power Chat up and running, which I've put the link into the live YouTube chat, so you can send through a Power Chat to support this program and other Unshackled productions. It is 8:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria, where here and around Australia, Matilda Mania has taken off. And as you all know, I am a soccer fan, and so I'm wearing in honor celebration of the CommBank Matildas, the Australian national women's soccer team, making the semi-final against the England Lionesses on Wednesday night. I am wearing, well, it's a Socceroos top, but it's green and gold, the national colors. And obviously, we all know here that women's sports, the reason why it's not as popular most of the time is because they are not at the skill level as the men's, but obviously this is the best in the world. We've got the Matildas have got the best female player in the world as their captain, Sam Kerr. And if you watch the quarterfinals, particularly the Australia versus France, you would see that the skill level is it's pretty good compared to other women's sports. It was at Brisbane Stadium there, and so because it could fit up to 50,000, it was 0-0 after extra time, so it was a penalty shootout, of course. And Anthony Albanese, our Prime Minister, flew up there. There he is with Sports Minister Annika Wells. So she says, still crying, couldn't be prouder of the Matildas. And after the game, Anthony Albanese immersed himself congratulating the individual Matildas. So Anthony Albanese trying to piggy bank on the back of the Matildas' popularity, and I'm sure that that most Australians are going to be cheering them on against the Lionesses. Making the semi-final, it's certainly something to celebrate with. I thought I'd get a hard solo. They were very hard to get their hands on, these hard solos. Of course, Solo, a iconic Australian lemon squash drink. I drove across several suburbs to get myself a pack of those because Kylea Tink, one of the Teal Independents for North Sydney, she wants it banned because it just tastes like the soft drink. Well, it's lemon mixed with vodka. I enjoyed about 3 or 4 or a few more while watching the Matildas on Saturday night. And yes, it does taste like soft drink. Now Kylea Tink, she claims that it's marketed as kids because it has the name of a soft drink and is a can that drinks and tastes like a soft drink, even though you have to be over 18 to purchase alcohol. You can see here on I'll just bring myself full screen. It says 18 plus on on the front there, and also has a extra warning there, pregnancy warning. Alcohol can cause lifelong harm to your baby. Well, obviously, I'm a man, and so I can't get pregnant, so I don't have to worry about that. But Kylea Tink, she has her intervention has alerted most of the Australian public that Solo was now in alcoholic form, and so the Streisand effect has happened, where people such as myself have bought it up because it is a first. I don't think there's been a soft drink that has made the leap to alcohol, though it is brewed by Asahi, the Japanese alcohol conglomerate that now owns Carlton and United breweries. It's funny that nobody cares that the Japanese, or the Japs as they were called during World War II, own all our alcoholic beverages now. Victoria Bitter, Foster's, pretty much all of them are all owned by the Japanese now, and Australians don't care because we just think, well, they're not going to take over half the world again. We can't believe that they ever did that about 80 or so years ago. Lady of Charlotte, great to see you back in the chat. Teal, such head girls. They report you to the headmistress. Yes, of course. Monique Ryan, she was one of the last mask nags. And of course, they want gambling advertising bans, the Teals, and also junk food advertising during children's time. Lady of Charlotte also says, does Albo know what a woman is? Felt like throwing up when I saw him at the match on Saturday. Well, Albanese, to get some cheap populism, sorry, I shouldn't say cheap populism, expensive populism, he is taking to National Cabinet on Wednesday a proposal that there'll be a public holiday next week if the Matildas win the FIFA Women's World Cup, which, of course, will be expensive for small businesses. And if you've got a surgery booked in that you've been on the waiting list before, you've prepared for it, your plans will be thrown into disarray. Albanese Nomics, he has said that'll actually improve the economy. It's that's having a public holiday because there'll be more consumption during that day. By that logic, every day should be a public holiday. Obviously, Anthony Albanese is trying to emulate Bob Hawke after the 1983 America's Cup win, where Hawkeye said, any boss who sacks anyone for not turning up today is a bum. But Bob Hawke never declared it a public holiday. Albanese, of course, said that he would govern like Bob Hawke, but of course he's been drinking more like Bob Hawke. Lady of Charlotte says they will not win, by the way. Is that because, Lady of Charlotte, you'll be backing the Lionesses? Obviously, Australia and England have just been through a bitterly fought men's Ashes series. And of course, it would be sweet if the Matildas were able to win through a cheap goal through Sam Kerr. And Piers Morgan, again, he could have a meltdown and decry that the Matildas didn't play in the spirit of soccer. The Lionesses, they're the 2022 European champions. Where Nielsen says, Matildas, hilarious, spot on, Hadron. Imagine getting a chance to go on their ABC. Now, Evelyn Ray of Cauldron Pool, she could have been a Matilda. She posted on her Twitter, I played semi-professional level soccer. I even played a bit in America back in the day, and I detested watching women's soccer. Truly, I found it boring. Loved playing, hated watching. Men are better and should get paid better. Sorry that it's true. Now, obviously, the Matildas, they will earn a significant amount of prize money, nowhere near as the men's. But the reason why the Western nations do so well at women's sports, not just soccer, but other team sports, is because, well, women are supported in sports in Western nations. I mean, there is no Iran, Saudi Arabian, Qatar women's soccer team. Well, in Saudi Arabia, they only only just let women be able to drive. There was some sheikh who claimed that women driving affects their fertility. So it's not surprising that in the final four, it is all Western nations. So the other semi-final is Spain versus Sweden. And I think also why there is such this unity and support for the Matildas, unlike for the US women's soccer team, where half the United States thought it was hilarious that Megan Rapinoe's terrible penalty cost the team a third consecutive World Cup, is because Megan Rapinoe and a lot of them over in the US are woke tards. And that's why no Australian cares that the Australian Diamonds netball team won the World Cup over in England, the Netball World Cup, because they thought that they were too pure for Gina Rinehart's dirty mining money from Hancock Prospecting. And they got a sponsorship taxpayer bailout from Dan Andrews for Visit Victoria. The Matildas aren't woke. I mean, they're the CommBank Matildas, so they're happy to be sponsored by one of the big banks. So, of course, big banks are constantly demonized. The fact that the Commonwealth Bank made a huge profit was reported as, look at that greedy bank. And also the Women's A-League in Australia is sponsored by Liberty Oil. So the female professional soccer players in Australia, they are happy to accept sponsorship dollars from whoever's prepared to put money towards it. Senator Slayer says Ricky T said soccer is for faggots. I mean, of course, AFL, some call it GayFL, is definitely the most most hyper masculine sport. I know that Ricky T is a Collingwood supporter, and they all wore the rainbow armband for Ida Hobbit Day. Which Ricky T, by cheering on the Magpies every week, he's supporting that as well. Now, obviously, it is going to be a big build-up, and like I said, England, they are the European champions. Though we do hope that maybe the Lionesses, because obviously they're going to need all the energy they need, we hope that the full English breakfast is for the Lionesses is going to be cooked by Erin Patterson, who of course is the prime murder suspect in the Leongatha Beef Wellington mushroom poisoning. So her parents-in-law, so Don and Gail Patterson, both died, and Gail's sister Heather Wilkinson died after they consumed the beef Wellington, which had death cap mushrooms in it. Ian Wilkinson, a local Anglican pastor, he is fighting for life in hospital. So she has released a statement this afternoon, Erin Patterson, and said she bought the fungi at a major supermarket, so trying to blame, I don't know, Woolworths or Coles. And she said she bought, so it was button mushrooms, she said, were purchased at a supermarket, and dried mushrooms bought in an Asian grocery store. She's trying to scapegoat a Asian grocery store. Obviously, it's still an ongoing investigation. So Miss Patterson said she served the meal and allowed her guests to choose their own plates on July 29. She then took the last plate and ate or served the Beef Wellington dish. And she said that her children weren't at lunch and had gone to the movies. She said that she was hospitalized with bad stomach pains and diarrhea. She told police she had put on a saline drip and given liver protective drug before being taken by ambulance from the Leongatha Hospital to Monash Medical Centre on July 31st. Southern Gippsland Health Service confirmed fifth person who was present at Leongatha Hospital on July 30 with affected food poisoning later returned and was sent to Monash. And she said that she admitted that she lied to police and that she did dump the food hydrator she used to cook the mushrooms that week, and not it was not the case that she threw it out months ago. She said that she lied after her ex-husband Simon Patterson said, "Is this what you used to poison them?" She said she lied and told them she dumped it a long time ago in fear she might not be able to raise the pair's children. Now, the children ate leftovers, but she scraped the mushrooms off because she said they didn't like mushrooms. Yes, so it's obviously she has been caught out being loose with the truth, to put it mildly. And yes, so obviously the police investigation is ongoing, but there hasn't been any significant drop in mushroom sales at the major supermarkets. So there's not this panic like there was after that needles in the strawberry hoax back in 2019. But the last severe death cap mushroom poisoning was about a decade ago, accidental. This man in Canberra saw mushrooms growing in his backyard, and he said to his wife, "Oh, let's put this in the lasagna, the spaghetti bolognese tonight for dinner," and they nearly died because these death cap mushrooms, they're called death cap mushrooms because it's very likely you will die because they cause liver and kidney failure. And you can't get rid of the poison through cooking. And so the reason, obviously, that's the reason why the sole survivor in Wilkinson needs a liver transplant in order to survive. Now, there is a lot of Victorians who wish that Erin Patterson had made a delivery to Mulgrave. This hilarious meme was being shared around social media all weekend. Dan Andrews answering his front door, "Thank you for the free mushroom pizza." And Erin Patterson says, "Enjoy." Now, Danger Dan Andrews has just dropped on his Facebook page because I think he was cussing himself that he didn't think of this this meme sooner. "Some caring anonymous person sent me the delicious looking mushroom pizza. Bon appetit." Of course, Dan was sick for a week. Maybe he did get a mushroom pizza delivery. That's why he was sick, because he never told us what he was sick with. Now, on Saturday at the Melbourne Exhibition Centre, there was the all ages drag expo. And Victoria Police, they were not just present at the drag expo. So they said, we will be, our LGBTQ liaison officers will be inside the venue. You can spot them with their Rainbow Police IDs. Our LLOs are looking forward to the glitz and glitter of this event. We encourage you to speak with an LLO, security, or an event person if you need on the day. If there is an emergency, call 000. Most importantly, have fun. So are the lesbian ones, are they called lesbian liaison officers, LLO? And they actually had their own event going on in the exhibition centre. So there was the Victoria Police Reconnection Seminar in the same building that day. So obviously, the Victoria Police and the LGBTQ agenda are still like that. I think you can still call say a police officer looks like a lesbian in Victoria. There's still no homophobia law in Victoria yet. That's why they had to get Neil Erickson, Senator Slayer, on disturbing religious worship when he was at the gay church. Now, there was a protest outside, which was organised by members of Melbourne's Freedom Community. Now, there were speeches by those rightfully advocating child protection. I mean, children aren't allowed at Sexpo. That is for 18 plus. So should the Drag Queen Expo. Drag queens are not for kids, as the late Wilson Gavin protested before his tragic death the next day. Now, there was a pro Drag Expo counter protest out the front by the local LGBTQ Antifa, and one of them actually decided to have a discussion with one of the protect the children protesters, Arn Nguyen, who is on Twitter, and asked him about Yumi Stein's Welcome to Sex book. Would he be okay with that being mass distributed to 11-year-olds? And this is the conversation that took place.
To go to the library, get this book, and give it to you, and say, go advertise it to 11-year-olds.
I would. You're not gonna get me being
or scissoring, as well. Page 160.
Like, I stand by this. I don't know what the gotcha is, because like.
And anal sex as well.
This is fine.
167. And the lowdown on anal sex. So you're comfortable with defending or promoting anal sex towards 11-year-olds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
There you go. Wow. I know.
That's a pedophile.
Well, thank you very much.
I wouldn't shake that hand, man. No, don't shake hands with
Sorry, mate. It's very weird, and my hands are very cold. But it was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
The society's on the right trajectory.
Sorry, mate. Don't shake hands.
So there you go. One was prepared to say on camera that he is fine with anal sex and scissoring being promoted to 11-year-olds. And Yumi Stein, she continues to play the victim. This was from news.com.au. She reveals just how bad the trolling has become. Remember, she posted all of the Instagram messages that she got, and of course one of them is, "You're nothing but a piece of filthy trash." She shared some horrible messages people have sent. The messages are so confronting that Steins even put a trigger warning at the beginning of her Instagram post. Oh, my bleeding heart. Now, last night on Channel 7, there was a follow-up 7 News spotlight after the findings of the Walter Sofronoff inquiry in the ACT, which found that Shane Drumgold, KC, the ACT Director of Public Prosecutions, he knowingly lied to the Supreme Court, engaged in serious misconduct, and he basically denied Bruce Lehman a fair trial. Now, Liam Bartlett, who conducted the original interview with Bruce Lehman, he also interviewed Bruce Lehman's lawyer, and also Linda Reynolds broke her silence. Remember, she was Brittany Higgins' employer at the time, where she alleged she was raped by Bruce Lehman inside Parliament House. Though Linda Reynolds, she made because she now is speaking frankly and openly, she is suing Brittany Higgins and her fiance David Shiraz for defamation. Linda Reynolds unloaded this bombshell last night.
And all of a sudden he was on top of me and I physically couldn't get him off of me.
Now, the advice we got is that is not an allegation of rape.
Well, she still didn't use the R word, did she?
She never used the rape word, ever. And in fact, if you go back and have a look at one of the early stories, that on the first day when the story broke, she's quoted in that story as saying she never used the rape word with us.
Well, that was written by Samantha Maiden.
It was.
And 7 News Spotlight played recordings of Samantha Maiden, the news.com.au journalist who published the first report. Obviously, Lisa Wilkinson did the first TV interview on news.com.au. Samantha Maiden won the Golden Walkley for that. So there were recordings of Brittany Higgins speaking to Samantha Maiden. Probably 7 Spotlight got access to those through Bruce Lehman's defamation action against news.com.au. And Brittany Higgins, she says that Linda Reynolds ghosted her. I didn't want to be around her, and Linda Reynolds said that is not true. She was on the campaign trail with me in 2019. There's heaps of photos with us together. In fact, she got me flowers for my birthday the night before the election. And Linda Reynolds also said that Brittany Higgins wore that white cocktail dress on the campaign trail, which she said she put in a box for 6 months and didn't wear. And also Linda Reynolds said that she never got her Carla Zempati jacket back that Brittany Higgins wore out of her office. Brittany Higgins said she got it from a charity bin. Brittany Higgins said she got it from a charity bin, which was actually Linda Reynolds' wardrobe. So a lot of people are now calling Brittany Higgins Brit Thief Fibbins. And you can watch the full 55-minute follow-up on the 7 News website. And Bruce Lehman, he was on Sunrise this morning, where he was interviewed by that horrid woman, Natalie Barr. And he has offered to sit a lie detector test to prove what really happened in the ministerial suite on the night he returned to the office with Brittany Higgins. Probably the conversation between Samantha Maiden and Brittany Higgins that is the most stark is that when Samantha Maiden tells her that Bruce is going to claim that you two never had sex, Brittany Higgins laughs. And if it was so traumatic a rape, why would you laugh that his defense is going to be you never had sex? Like, you're laughing at your own rape. I mean, that is quite bizarre, to put it mildly. Yes, Carla Zempati. It's very expensive brand. It's not something you would put in a charity bin. And of course, she passed away in 2021. She's the mother of a Teal Independent Kylea spender. And so obviously and Liam Bartlett did the math, and so Brittany Higgins, she got the $3 million in compensation, and Linda Reynolds said she wasn't allowed to attend the mediation. Otherwise, Mark Dreyfus, the Attorney General, basically said you're not going to have your legal bills paid by the Commonwealth. So Linda Reynolds, she was basically hamstrung there, and I think it was very, very good that Linda Reynolds did the interview. I mean, clearly she's had enough, and she wasn't. Given that she is a opposition backbencher now, she said Brittany has had control of the narrative, and I want to put forward my how we dealt with it. And the reason Bruce was fired, she said, was because he was second security breach, and that was how it was brought to her attention initially, not that there was a security breach, and that's obviously when Brittany Higgins claimed that she'd been raped. Linda Reynolds and her chief of staff Fiona Brown offered to take her to the Australian Federal Police. She wasn't given an ultimatum to quit her job and get a payout or stay on. So yes, there is obviously still a lot to play out. There is the defamation action Bruce Lehman is taking against Network 10, and also the ABC, and also he is considering suing the ACT government. Andrew Barr, the chief minister, is obviously trying to make Walter Sofronoff the scapegoat. He did nothing wrong by leaking his own report. That wasn't unlawful, even though Andrew Barr tried to claim it was. But then he said, "Oh, we've got to pass laws to make sure that he can't do that." Walter Sofronoff, obviously, very savvy, very, very, very solid legal mind. He knew that giving an embargo to report to journalists as an insurance policy was legal, and that he didn't want the ACT government to sit on it and censor it. Now, there has been another breaking story today, and that is that Pauline Hanson has before move on to this breaking news, I want to share another cartoon from Ryan Fletcher, formerly of the XYZ. Because of course Brittany Higgins claims to be Aboriginal now, and so he has her saying, and it's a very accurate cartoon of Brittany Higgins now, given the size of her now. "The police are against me because I am a proud Indigenous woman who colluded with the media over a $320,000 book deal about a rape allegedly by a toxic white male who looks disturbingly like my partner David Shiraz. The soft enough inquiry is white supremacy." Where you wonder now whether Brittany Higgins she might go shades darker. There was this photo circulating of Lydia Thorpe, how her hand is much more paler than her face. Is she wearing? Well, she looks like she's wearing thick makeup. She's not doing a tan grant, but her hand looks like it's a man's hand. It looks very out of place there. I'm pretty sure that that's not a photoshopped photo there. But on to today's other news, and so Pauline Hanson, she has got the One Nation national executive to take over the New South Wales One Nation executive and remove Mark Latham as the state leader. And the justification for this, Mark Latham put out a statement. So the justification of Hanson taking over is because of the party's upper house vote at the New South Wales state election, which fell by 1% in March. Yet our 6% result was still 2% ahead of the New South Wales Senate result last year in a campaign Hanson herself headed. In Queensland, Hanson's Senate vote fell by 3%. She only just scraped in for re-election. If she's worried about underperformance, her best solution is to buy a mirror. Now, Mark Latham is still a One Nation member of the New South Wales Parliament, but clearly he is not happy. He is launching a truth defense against his against the defamation action brought against him by Alex Greenwich, the independent member for Sydney. Now, of course, that was over Mark Latham's tweet reply to Alex Greenwich, calling him a disgusting human being. Now, of course, mainstream media, they said we refuse to publish it because it is so homophobic. But just for the record, because I don't believe in censoring the news, Mark Latham responded to Greenwich's disgusting accusation. How does that compare with sticking your dick up a bloke's ass and covering it with shit? And so Alex Greenwich, he has claimed, this is from the federal court documents, that a going down here that so Latham is arguing that he wrote the tweet using qualified privilege in response to an attack Greenwich made against him in a media report. Greenwich is an openly gay man who has participated in homosexual sexual activities material that was set out in specific or general terms in a primary tweet and is substantially true. So up here it has that because of Latham's tweet, he's argued he has been subjected to threats, repeated jibes, hatred, homophobic comments, and contempt and ridicule. And Alex Greenwich, his defamation case is being bankrolled by Climate 200, which of course is headed by Simon Holmes of Court. Climate 200, they fund most of the Teal's campaign there, so that is very very poor of Pauline Hanson. Remember, she demanded that Mark Latham apologize. A lot of people thought at the time that maybe her homosexual chief of staff James Ashby was behind that video, given that maybe it was his feelings that were hurt, and he was speaking through Pauline. Hadron Anti-Bullying says Alex Greenwich is suing Joel Jamal too. Joel Jamal revealed that he was being sued by a politician. He's launched a Give Send Go account. So he didn't name the MP, but it looks like it's Alex Greenwich as well. Paleoconservative Australia said that Mark Liebler tried to destroy One Nation when it was based in the late 1990s. I didn't know that there. Paleoconservative Australian, we need an Australian Nick Griffin. Well, the closest we had was Fraser Anning, but of course, what did Pauline Hanson said his maiden speech was straight out of Goebbels' handbook and was appalling. And of course, how do I say Hadron? Hadrian? Is it like Adrian but with a H at the end? Now let's move on to every week. It gets more and more poisonous. The voice to Parliament, or voice to the executive referendum debate. It's time for the weekly update about the voice. Now, it seems my comparison of the Voice referendum to the Voice reality TV show is now filtering down to other political satirists. So Mark Knight in the Herald Sun has done Peter Dutton in the Voice chair with his no t-shirt, and has Albanese on the stage with his Voice advocates performing, and the tagline is that this chair's not for turning. And also the real Rukshan, he also did one of his clever video edits, having Anthony Albanese be a contestant on The Voice. Have I got this here? Oh, don't tell me I haven't got it. Oh, well, I'll play that. I'll load that in a moment. I will play Anthony Albanese today. He was in front of the Qantas Yes plane unveiled by outgoing Qantas CEO Alan Joyce.
The spirit of Australia says yes. And the spirit of Australia says yes because this will assist reconciliation in a practical way.
Now, I saw that Avi Yemeni, he was trying to get trending boycott Qantas. Though Alan Joyce, I mean, he got away with using Qantas to campaign for same-sex marriage, though he did cop a pie in the face. He got away with Qantas having a vax mandates for its employees, and so he clearly just these people. He probably just thinks they're a fringe minority. These people vowing to boycott Qantas because of me using this iconic company for my own political ends. Yes, Alan Joyce is a rainbow leprechaun. I saw Bernie Finn tonight on his Facebook page. He's going to be running for the Family First Party for the Australian Senate at the next federal election. Said that he'd be happy to drive Alan Joyce to the airport to go back to Ireland, and so he can see how much his native Irish like being told how to vote. And this was Real Ruckshan. Here's video edit of Anthony Albanese performing on The Voice.
Together, we can embrace the Uluru Statement from the Heart. We can answer its patient, gracious call for a voice enshrined in our Constitution.
Paleoconservative Australian Irish voted yes to gay marriage and abortion, and Sinn Féin is taking over the both the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. The Catholic Republican Nationalist Party, which has historical links to the Provisional IRA, so they have managed to take both Irish nations back. I know that Lady of Shalott is grew up in Northern Ireland and knows all about Sinn Féin and the Provisional IRA, what they're capable of. Paleoconservative Australian said Sinn Féin and Nigerians are the new Irish. Well, did you know that one of the dark Matildas, Mary Fowler, she is actually half Irish, and her siblings play for the Irish national team. So she's also half Papuan as well. Sam Kerr, obviously, she is digressing here. She is dark as well, but a lot of people might assume she's Aboriginal, but she's actually part Indian. She is the younger sister of AFL former West Coast Eagle player Daniel Kerr. So there you go there. Now, this past week, we've had the RMIT University Fact Lab get involved in the Voice debate to debunk the misinformation and disinformation about The Voice. And so, according to their website, listen to how they sell themselves. RMIT Fact Lab is a fact-checking research and training hub based at RMIT University, which is in Melbourne. RM stands for Royal Melbourne. It is committed to fighting the viral spread of misinformation that can harm people and undermine democratic processes. It is a signatory to the International Fact-Checking Network's Code of Principles, which requires a commitment to fairness, transparency, and non-partisanship. We are dedicated to fact-checking content that circulates on social media, improving the community's understanding of misinformation through research, and equipping people with the skills necessary to assess the accuracy of information for themselves. Yeah, what a lot of waffle crap that is. And of course, they have concurred with the new narrative that the Uluru Statement is it's only one page now. It's not 26. So according to RMIT Fact Lab, this is false. The Uluru Statement from the Heart is a one-page document as confirmed by its authors. Papers released under FOI contain the statement, but also include 25 pages of minutes of meetings held with Indigenous communities, which are not part of the Uluru Statement of the Heart. So just to be clear, they're not made up documents. I mean, they're a summary of the 112 pages of minutes from these regional dialogues, which led to the creation of the Uluru Statement from the Heart in 2017. So the stuff about reparations as a proportion of GDP, that Australia was invaded, that there was a genocidal war, that was all said by the groups that got together to nut out the Uluru Statement from the Heart. But according to Anthony Albanese now, and this is another edit by Rural Rukshan, he was on fire last week. You're a conspiracy theorist if you believe that the Uluru Statement is more than one page.
That is a conspiracy in search of a theory, Mr. Speaker. It is something that has been out there, like a whole lot of the QAnon theories. We have all sorts of conspiracy stuff out there. But this is a ripper. That is the Uluru Statement from the Heart on an A4 bit of paper. That is it. But what we have here is the conspiracy theories colliding with each other. They're struggling to get their scares straight. I mean, what role did Marcia Langton play in the faking of the moon landing, Mr. Speaker? What was the role of the Uluru Statement from the Heart in that? This is absolutely nonsense. There's a whole lot of projection going on here, Mr. Speaker. More projection than a film festival. And it's coming from those opposite who do not want to debate the facts. Take what is in the Uluru Statement. That is an eloquent request from Indigenous Australians to come together as a nation.
Albanese repeats that line, that it's a modest, gracious request, the Uluru Statement from the Heart, and he trots out the QAnon conspiracy crowd as well. Of course, that's just something that leftists trot out. That latest was with the Sound of Freedom movie. It's a fueling QAnon conspiracy theorist, even though it is based on a true story, and it is coming to Hoyt Cinemas, the Sound of Freedom, next week, which was very exciting. You can see it locally, and of course, buying a ticket at the cinema rather than watching a bootleg copy, you'll be helping its box office performance there. I digress. Now, Rukshan, he also went back to, because remember, videotape from the past doesn't lie. So obviously, with the AI revolution, some person might be able to put out a spurious thing. It's AI, or what is it? Camera must have misheard me. But Professor Megan Davis, one of the architects of the Voice referendum, was on the referendum council. So she now says it's only one page, but this was her only a couple of years ago, talking about the Uluru Statement from the Heart.
You know, Australians need to vote as an informed group. It needs to be an informed vote, and that is what we want to get them to. So on the ulurustatement.org website, there's a lot of resources around this. So the Uluru Statement from the Heart, you know, you can go to the ulurustatement.org website, and it's actually like 18 pages, the Uluru Statement. People only read the first. But after the first page, there's about 4 pages that explain why voice was chosen and not a non-discrimination clause. So I saw one question in the chat by someone saying, you know, the NT preferred a non-discrimination clause, but the initial Northern Territory response was done under the plenary powers. So the biggest problem for the territories is their plenary power. They're not a state. No Section 116A is going to fix that for you. So this document takes people through the reasoning, the legal reasoning that Mob went through to get to the Voice to Parliament. Why was a non-discrimination clause put to one side for a voice to Parliament? And partly it was so that we would have upfront political empowerment, as opposed to just a right that sits in the Constitution that you take to the High Court, maybe, if the federal Parliament does something.
Now, Pat Anderson, also on the Referendum Council, was on the ABC 7:30 program this week to say that it was only one page. And so, yeah, if Megan Davis and Pat Anderson say it's one page now, then it's one page. But this is what Pat Anderson had previously said.
Let me explain first of all. The Uluru Statement from the Heart is a one-pager. It's 439 words. And also in the Uluru Statement from the Heart, from the report rather, the Referendum Council's report, the Uluru Statement is in fact 18 pages long.
Yeah, so there you go. It's one page statement. Now that's the truth, mandated, as Roseanne Barr says about social media these days. They decide what is the truth, and of course, don't forget that Anthony Albanese's government. Communications Minister Michelle Rowland is proceeding with the misinformation and disinformation laws. So, because obviously accusing it using racial guilt to get Australians to vote yes hasn't worked. No is ahead in all the polls. So when Australia votes no, they're going to blame misinformation and disinformation. And these laws, as I've written, they are very broad. They empower ACMA to create social media codes. So harm can mean hatred against any group, against a group in Australian society on the basis of ethnicity, nationality, race, gender, sexual orientation, age, religion, mental or physical disability, disruption of public order or society, harm to the integrity of Australian democratic processes, harm to the health of Australians, harm to the environment, economic or financial harm to Australians. And of course, misinformation and disinformation is the provision of content on the digital service is reasonably likely to cause or contribute serious harm. So they're going to ram these laws through when the Voices voted no and say this is why we need it. It's going to be Australia's Trump 2016 moment. Remember, Hillary Clinton blamed her loss on Russian bot farms and also fake news like the Pizzagate conspiracy theory. Lady of Shalott says these laws are the equivalent of the Irish hate speech legislation. Will all be finished. That is quite alarming, that Irish legislation. If you can post additional information in the chat, Lady of Charlotte, just to refresh my memory, and I can inform the audience. Now, RMIT Fact Check, another one, Fact Lab, I should call them, another one of their debunks. Was that the Vote No camp sows fear by falsely linking scrapped WA land laws to Indigenous voice. What was claimed, Western Australia's recently scrapped cultural heritage laws had the same function as the proposed voice. And a successful yes vote at the upcoming referendum would establish cultural heritage rights in the Constitution. False. The powers and functions of the WA laws and the proposed Indigenous voice are in no way similar, according to experts. They've got an expert here, so you don't need to worry. The proposed constitutional amendment would only establish an advisory body called the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. Now, this week, Roger Cook confirmed, the Western Australian Premier, that the laws would be repealed and actually apologised for the division, confusion and anxiety they called. And actually a political leader actually gets brownie points for admitting they were wrong. Dan Andrews never admits that he was wrong, no matter how heinous his acts against the Victorian people. He always says, we will make no apologies. So it goes here that it claims that Fair Australia was taking Roger Cook out of context when he said the Aboriginal cultural heritage laws do the same thing as the voice. That is, they respect, acknowledge, and consult, and nothing can be fairer than that. So apparently, quoting him word for word, Roger Cook is taking him out of context. So the expert they've got here, Professor George William, a constitutional law expert, even though he doesn't know how the High Court is going to interpret the voice and what constitutes consultation. Larrikin says WA farmers should sue the West Australian government. Henry Lawson says, before 1901, Australia didn't exist as a country. It was a colony of Great Britain. So maybe the fake Aborigines should be taking to the British Crown. Well, obviously, the pervasiveness of welcome to countries, it's before every World Cup game now. It was before the Matildas played France. I just don't watch it. And apparently in like corporations, before every meeting, they have a welcome to country, even on a Zoom call. And former Liberal Prime Minister Tony Abbott, he said what a lot of us have been saying, is that we are tired of being welcomed to our own country.
I'm getting a little bit sick of welcomes to country because it belongs to all of us.
Exactly. And it's because, and the Uluru Statement perpetuates this as well. The old sovereignty was never ceded, even though there were various agreements between some British settlers and Indigenous tribes, such as John Batman, the founder of Melbourne. He acquired the city of Melbourne, the land of Melbourne, from the local Indigenous tribe. And of course, with the a lot of our families have been here for generations. I mean, Australia was built. There was the land here, contrary to Bruce Pascoe's fake history. The land here was not worked because the local Aboriginal people were hunter gatherers. So Australia was built, and all public land in Australia should own to all Australians. There shouldn't be a separate part of Australia just for Aboriginals, like in Arnhem Land there. And last week, Keith Windschuttle, the historian who's written a number of volumes on the fabrication of Aboriginal history, he appeared on the Bolt Report, talking about Unipingu, who Albanese puts up like a godlike figure, the founder of the Arnhem, the Gama Festival in Arnhem Land. And Keith Windschuttle revealed basically that the royalties that he got from the mining operations, which obviously he got for being a elder of a traditional area, he kept most of it for himself and for his 4 wives. He had 4 wives, even though bigamy and polygamy is supposed to be illegal in Australia. Unipingu, he had 4 wives. And so, yeah, he didn't leave his, he didn't use the money that he got as an elder to put it back and build the communities in Arnhem Land there. And so that was quite, it's published on Quadrant Online. And Keith Windschuttle, he's done incredible work over the years, debunking a lot of the narrative that Aborigines were that there was this genocide operation against them. It's very hard to get a hold of his books, The Fabrication of Aboriginal History. They're out of print. They should be mandatory reading for all young Australians. And so I think that was a very good bit of research there by Keith Windschuttle. You can read a lot of his work over at quadrant.org.au. Now, the ABC, they also partner with RMIT for the ABC RMIT fact check. And they did, well, it wasn't through their fact check, but their ABC investigations. I played this clip last week from TikTok. Remember this clip which this Aboriginal woman is filming, is heard shouting at a white woman to leave a stretch of the foreshore which belonged to the Butchulla people, saying they have owned these lands to the exclusive and all others which come under federal native title. You might not like it, but guess what? Times are changing. You don't own the land. We do. Get off it, please, the woman said. So apparently, according to this woman, it was taken out of context. So according to Butchulla woman Samala Cronin and her mother and elder Gemma Cronin showed the argument actually began when the elderly woman's husband had confronted them for filming. Well, they probably didn't want to be filmed by some strangers. We started walking along the foreshore and people started coming out of their houses. Next thing, I hear this guy coming towards and talking to us. In her version of the video, the man approaches the pair who ask him, "Can I help you?" After a brief exchange, he lunges at the camera and yells, "Don't do that. Don't take photos." Gemma Cronin is seen pushing him away and yelling, "Don't fucking touch my daughter." When he lunged at the camera, my mum just went into protection mode. She said had every right to be there after the stretch of land they were standing on was exclusively granted to the Badgera people in 2019 native title decision. At the end of the unedited videos, Samala Cronin is heard telling her mother to stop shouting because of young children nearby. So she said all the things in the video, but apparently because it wasn't the full video, it's out of context. This thing. Oh, because you didn't show the whole thing, which proves that what actually happened, like what Roger Cook said about the Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Laws doing the same as The Voice. And now the ABC this week, because, well, they're getting a lot of frank feedback on X, formerly known as Twitter. So they have shut down all of their ABC branded Twitter accounts, except for ABC News, ABC Sport, ABC Chinese. Wonder why they kept the ABC Chinese account. So that's described as the ABC reflects contemporary Australia, which includes creating informative, educational, entertaining content that is relevant, relatable, and inclusive for Australians with different backgrounds and interests, reaches Chinese-speaking audiences on Twitter. And the other one is ABC Australia. And so the ABC managing director, David Anderson, said, "In February, we closed 3 programmed accounts for Insiders News Breakfast and ABC Politics. As a result, has been positive. Insiders have seen increasing reach and engagement trips post on the main ABC News account. The vast majority of its ABC social media audience is located on official sites on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, with TikTok forecast to have the strongest audience growth over the next 4 years. We want to focus our effort on resources where our audience are or where our echo chambers are." And of course, TikTok, owned by the Chinese Communist Party. Interesting that the ABC is interested focusing on a communist platform owned by a communist government. "We found that closing individual program accounts has limited exposure of team members to the toxic interactions, unfortunately becoming more prevalent on X. Concerningly, X has reduced its trust and safety teams. Additionally, it is introducing changes which make the platform increasingly costly to use." Patricia Karvelis, who's the host of ABC Radio National Breakfast and now ABC Q&A, she announced that she was moving from Twitter to Threads, but Threads has basically fallen to Threads pieces, and so she is back on Twitter now. Threads was never going to take off there, and so yes, the ABC, they only want to hear from supporters, and obviously they for ABC Talkback Radio, they screen their calls, so you can't really give them frank and honest feedback there. Australian Brainwashing Corp. And Elon Musk, he hit back at the ABC. So he said, well, of course they prefer censorship-friendly social media. The Australian public does not. And of course, Musk is finalizing the details of his cage fight with Meta's Mark Zuckerberg. And it is going to be streamed all around the world. And so it looks like it is going to happen. Now, we had the Twitter Twitter CEO, Linda Yaccarino. She recently appeared on CNBC in the United States. She's the Twitter CEO that Elon Musk handpicked. She, of course, used to be at Comcast, which owns NBC Universal. She was an attendee at Davos, the World Economic Forum, before she was chosen by Elon Musk. Of course, it's called X Blue now, or X Premium. Careful not to dead name Twitter now. It always was X. It was never actually Twitter. It identified as that. Obviously, if you pay for the monthly subscription, your reach is automatically enhanced. I'm still undecided. I'm done for months about whether to purchase the Twitter Blue subscription. But notice that Morgan Jonas, he Twitter Blue. Here, Morgan Jonas has Twitter Blue, and he hardly gets any interaction on his Twitter. Most of his audience is over on his Facebook page. So it's no guarantee. But even our X Blue, according to Linda Yaccarino, it won't guarantee that you'll get reach depending on what you say.
Staggeringly, they take it down. And that reducing that hateful content from being seen is one of the best examples how X is committed to encouraging healthy behavior online. And today, I can confidently sit in front of you and say that 99.9% of all posted impressions are healthy.
How do you define healthy, though? Is porn healthy? Are conspiracy theories healthy?
You know, it goes back to my point about our success with freedom of speech, not reach. And if it is lawful, but it's awful, it's extraordinarily difficult for you to see it.
But how many millions of people follow Kanye West? Lawful but awful. And he's allowed back on.
You know, Kanye, who hasn't rejoined the platform yet, but is planning to do so, will operate within the very specific policies that we have established, that we're clear on, that everyone who's watching this or listening on Spaces can access themselves. And we have an extraordinary team of people who are overseeing, hands on keyboards, monitoring all day, every day, to make sure that 99.99% of impressions remain at that number. But we also have to remember what's at the core of free expression. You might not agree with what everyone is saying. We want to make it a healthy debate and discourse, but free expression at its core will really, really only survive when someone you don't agree with says something you don't agree with. And what a great place we would live in if we were able to return to a healthy, constructive discourse amongst people that we don't agree with.
Yes, sounds like from what Linda's saying that it's going to be a lot of Back to the Future for X, formerly known as Twitter. But of course, Elon Musk, he doesn't allow complete free speech. He doesn't allow Holocaust denial, and he doesn't allow 9/11 denial. Now we will go over to the United States now, where Merrick Garland, the U.S. Attorney General, has appointed a special counsel in the Hunter and Biden investigation, and that is David Weiss. Now, when you hear this headline, you might think, "Wow, they're finally taking the Hunter Biden's crimes seriously," but David Weiss, he is from inside the Justice Department. So Merrick Garland he has to select somebody from outside the Justice Department as required under the statute, but he just decided to select someone who's been accused by whistleblowers of running a fixed investigation. So the fix is already in. And of course, this seems just like Merrick Garland. He's trying to seem like he's, we're taking this seriously. But yeah, it's going to be a fix. I mean, Merrick Garland is such an absolute piece of work. And Jack Smith, the special counsel investigating Trump, 2 indictments over classified documents. In fact, threw a few extra charges with the classified documents. But of course, Mike Pence and Joe Biden haven't been charged over mishandling classified documents. And of course, Trump indicted over January 6th, and he could also be indicted over the phone call to the Georgian governor asking for extra votes there. Now let's go over to the UK, where it was another shameful week for free speech and for ordinary Brits. So I will play some of the West Yorkshire police arresting that autistic 16-year-old girl for saying that lesbian police officer looks like her, because it's still a highly distressing video.
She's made a comment in her own house. You've got her on camera. She hasn't said anything to you. Don't matter. She never got cameras on. She's getting arrested. She's getting arrested. Why are you doing? Units coming. Don't worry. She hasn't done anything. She's autistic. I don't care. She's autistic. I know you're okay. I'm telling you, I've got units coming. She's going to be arrested tonight. Wait till the police officers coming. I'll explain what happened. If I get put in why we got her on the first place. Fucking bitch up me if I get put in jail. Calm down. She's autistic. Can you stop staring at her, please? She's got autism. Can you just stand there? She's in a cupboard. She can't go anywhere. She can't go anywhere. Stand there, dear. They're going to remove her for what? Because you're bothered. Then she said the word lesbian. Her nana is a lesbian. She's married to a woman. She's not homophobic. Look what you're clenching your fist. Go away from my teenage daughter. What is up with you? There is something wrong with you, mate. She didn't aim it at the police officer.
Yeah, that lesbian police officer said she doesn't care that she's autistic. And now the West Yorkshire police, they've had 2 attempts at a PR damage control statement. So this was the first one they put out. So their West Yorkshire Police Assistant Chief Constable Oz Khan said, "We are aware of a video circulating on social media, which is often the case, only provides a very limited snapshot of the circumstances of this incident. Officers had their body-worn video cameras activated during their wider involvement with this young girl, which provides additional context to their actions. We had received a complaint in relation to this incident, which is currently being assessed by West Yorkshire Professional Standards Directorate." While that ongoing processes and the active criminal investigation limit our ability to fully discuss the incident in detail, we feel important for people to have some context about the circumstances. From 12 a.m. on Monday, 7th of August, police received calls from a family member of a 16-year-old girl who was reportedly intoxicated and putting herself at risk in Leeds city centre. Well, the family member shouldn't have called the police because the police are not mental health professionals, and as we just saw, made the situation worse. I mean, we saw what happened to that North Frankston man who his ex-partner called the police because he was having a mental episode, and the police killed him with supposedly non-lethal rubber bullets and tasering, and now she has regretted calling the police because she feels that she caused his death. Officers attended about 1 a.m. and drove the teenager to her home. She could be appropriately looked after. Upon returning to her address, comments were made which resulted in the girl being arrested on the suspicion of a homophobic public order offence. The nature of the comments were fully captured on body-worn video. When the girl was eventually fit to be interviewed, the interview took place with appropriate adult. She was later released on bail, pending further inquiries and advice from the Crown Prosecution Service. West Yorkshire Police takes its responsibilities around the welfare of young people taken in custody and around neurodiversity very seriously. We also maintain our officers and staff should not have to face abuse while working to keep our community safe. We are fully reviewing the circumstances of this incident and ask that people avoid reaching any conclusion about solely on the basis of social media video. So that was take one of West Yorkshire damage control. Okay, this is part two. In relation to an incident on Leeds on Monday where a 16-year-old girl was arrested on suspicion of a homophobic public order offence, West Yorkshire Police now reviewed the evidence and made the decision to take no further action. Oh, how common sense of you. This concludes the criminal investigation. Immediate releases the girl from her bail. Her family has been updated. West Yorkshire Police's Professional Standards Directorate is continuing to carry out a review of the circumstances after receiving complaint in relation to the incident. Assistant Chief Commissioner Oz Khan, I wonder what ethnicity he is, with the surname Khan. We recognise the significance level of public concern that this incident has generated, and we move to fully review the evidence and the criminal investigation which has led to the decision to take no further action without preempting the outcome of the ongoing review of the circumstances by a Professional Standards Directorate. We would like to reassure public that we will take on board any lessons to be learned from this incident. Oh, that's very, very good of you to educate yourselves. Remember, Dan Andrews said, thank you for that educational corruption report. I digress. We do appreciate the understandable sensitivities around incidents involving young people and neurodiversity, and we can generally commit to developing how we respond to these often very challenging situations. So obviously, lesbians, LGBT people are still higher on the intersexual hierarchy than autistic people. That is clear. And the Daily Mail has broken exclusively that the mother is going to take legal action against the force. So she also suffers from spinal disability scoliosis, and you saw how brutally in that video they arrested her. And so this teenager, she was actually attending Leeds gay pride celebrations with her sister. So she was there at a pro-gay and lesbian event, and they decided she was a homophobe at the end. I mean, that is absolutely insane. And so good on the mother for taking this further. I mean, as I said, the whole thing is absolutely distressing. So it says her daughter, she was being sick everywhere. Then they did the test and found out she had scoliosis. I knew she did because a 7-year-old brother has got it, and she was waiting surgery on her spine. The mother was angry. She was not present when her daughter was interviewed following the incident in the early hours of last Monday, which contradicts what the police first said. They released her after 20 hours in a cell. They did say I could be an appropriate adult, but they did not call me. I rang 3 times when she was in custody. So this is, yeah, like I said, absolutely terrifying. And the West Yorkshire police. Now, the police in the UK, they make these ridiculous speech arrests. Remember when there was that old man who was arrested for posting to social media the transgender flags arranged in a collage that looked like a Nazi swastika. So he was arrested for that. The police dropped it. They make these obscene arrests for speech crimes, I should say, based on Section 5 of the Public Order Act. And West Yorkshire Police, this is not their first rodeo, to use the pun, of arresting somebody on a public order charge for hurting their feelings.
You all right, sausage meat? Huh? What? You what, mate? Come here and say what? What are you going to do? Attack me? Are you going to attack me? You're going to attack me? All right. I'm under arrest? Yes, for what? For what? I didn't threaten you though, did I? I didn't threaten you. See how far you get with that? Okay, alright. What are you doing? You're under arrest. I'll be under arrest then. You don't have to do that. Resist arrest then. I'm not resisting, mate. No, I'm not. It's okay. No Section 5 there at all. There's no harassment there at all. It is. No, it isn't. Sausage meat. It's on the camera, which seems so what? Now. MPT coming up, mate. Sausage meat. Okay, you're hurting my arm now, mate. Are you?
This is the Western officer, by the way.
It is. It's been locked up for calling police officers sausage meat. He thinks it's funny. Unfortunately, he's come across a police officer that's arrested him. Then he's tried to resist arrest. Now he's getting back at that and crying about it. He's gone out there to antagonise cops. He's called police officers sausage meat. And unfortunately, he's committed a criminal offence and been arrested.
And when they get before the court, most of these public order offences are and so well with the internet not playing up. Actor and comedian Rowan Atkinson, he made a speech many years ago advocating the repeal of Section 5. It's still online today and still goes viral in times like these. Now, remember, what have Rishi Sunak and all the other conservative prime ministers over the past 13 years done to protect free speech in the United Kingdom? Absolutely nothing. What have they done to stop illegal English Channel crossings? Absolutely nothing. But Rishi Sunak now he's got a surefire way to stop the boats now, and that is to put asylum seekers on a houseboat, the Bibi Stockholm, and so. Obviously, they had been using those 3- and 4-star hotels. So apparently, this will be able to hold 500 men aged between 18 and 65. Will be housed in the temporary floating accommodation while awaiting the outcome of the asylum application. Because remember, they're all working age men. Most of these migrants. And so they have been blighted by a series of setbacks. First and foremost, firefighters have described the vessels docked off the Dorset coast as a potential death trap due to fire risk and overcrowding. Oh, that seems so terrible. Currently docked at Dorset's Portland pub, the Bibi Stockholm barge once housed oil and gas workers and has been occupied by asylum seekers in other countries in the past. And of course, the bleeding heart, just open the borders, let anyone come in to the country. In fact, I think it got reported that one of them had to be evacuated because there was apparently Legionnaire's disease found as well. So yes, they expect 5-star treatment, these illegals, when they come to the UK. I mean, so they've maxed out the hotels already, the Tory government, but they're just gonna keep coming, and there'll be some High Court or Supreme Court judge who will strike this down, like they did with the Rwandan solution to fly illegal boat arrivals to Rwanda, which I found it so peculiar at the opening Premier League game on the weekend, Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. They were advertising at the Emirates Stadium, visit Rwanda. So apparently Rwanda is supposed to be a deterrent for asylum seekers, but they want Brits to holiday in Rwanda. Lady of Charlotte, would you holiday in Rwanda? So yes, that brings us to the end of the Tim's News Explosion for another week. I do feel a bit lightheaded after consuming most of this hard solo, so it does have alcoholic impacts, even though it tastes pretty much like solo. So it gets the thumbs up from me, and I hope that Asahi, who make this, I hope that the brewery is going into overdrive to get more of these, because there's just so much demand for hard solo. And obviously it's got the metaphorical tears of the teals in them as well. So I'm drinking the butthurt of Kylea Tink whenever I drink this, because it's not banned. Now, I'll be back tomorrow night with Andy Notch for The Theorists. Remember, 9 p.m. on the Theorists YouTube channel. And as I always do, I forget to have ready for me the link to the Theorist channel. Make sure you subscribe Also, make sure with not just episodes of The Theorists, but here on the Wilmsfront channels, you give a thumbs up, you leave a comment, and also share, because it all helps with the algorithm and spread the word out as well. And also, if you don't want to send through a power chat, but still want to talk about the still want to support the Unshackled, you can take out a premium membership by going to theunshackled.net/membership. Bronze $5 per month, silver $10 per month, gold $25 per month, and platinum $50 per month. Tomorrow night, we are going to be covering, well, the latest in part of our inspiration for starting the Theorists, the Plain Lady, Tiffany Gomez. She has now made a Twitter account and put out a video apologizing for her conduct. And so that is, we're going to cover the next chapter. And also, there was a crazy Muslim on a flight to Sydney, which had to be evacuated for security reasons. He kept talking to the crew and passengers, asking them about, do you follow Allah? He was just, it just looked like he was just muttering crazy things. And so there was a lot of pissed off travelers there. So we've got our crazy plain Muslim here in Australia. So I'll be covering that as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow night. In the meantime, stay safe, stay sane, stay warm because it's still cold, stay happy, and go the Matildas as well. I'll be watching it on Wednesday night next to an ice can of hard solo. See if you can get your hands on one. I suggest you do as well. Good night, everybody.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.